He decided to take a picture saying he had to warn her about it. Man, what a backstabber friend out of nowhere. But then again, it's his sister, right? That's tough. The group then gathered around the table. These Chinese folks love those round tables, huh? Ever noticed how this happens in every story once in a while? As soon as they picked up the menu, they started wanting ribs and all the most expensive stuff. Then Yun said he'd order everything he wanted, and Han Lai said it was fine as long as it stayed under 5,000. Suddenly, Ting Ting told him that some Lu Yo guy already knew about the dinner. He asked what the problem was, and she said other classmates might think he was giving them special treatment. He replied that he didn't care much and said he wasn't worried about it. He had already said he was a selfish person who preferred being alone. That's why it was impossible for him to be himself and maintain a good relationship with everyone. The only reason he invited the people at that table was because they were close to him. And of course, there was another reason. Sweating nervously, she asked what that reason was. And then he reveals that he's about to leave this university. Man, I didn't even know when this happened. Ting Ting looks all confused, staring at him, unsure where the boy is going. She thinks to herself that this bastard is always mistreating her. Now that he's leaving, she should feel happy, but instead, she's mad. She then asks if he's going to study in another country. He explains that he's not. He's just taking the transfer exam to the main campus of this university. Ting Ting asks if he's doing this because of Yanfei or her friend. Meanwhile, Han Lai notices that the girl is nearly gripping her shorts, looking so sad. She comments that both girls seem nice and he must have developed feelings for one of them. Han Lai tells her to stop doubting him because of course he developed feelings for both. She yells at him to stop joking and making things up. He then reveals he's not joking. She can believe or not, but the truth is that he neither liked nor disliked anyone. She interprets this as him being just a playboy wanting all the girls. But suddenly, her expression changes as if she realizes something. Apparently, she remembers that Fudan University doesn't accept mid-year transfers. She gets angry and asks if he's playing tricks while the girls at the table are watching him. It seems like the boy was lying the whole time. Oh boy, you think I have all the time in the world for your jokes and tricks, kid. Get on with the story already. Even I feel like punching this kid right now. At this point, Yu tells Ting Ting to calm down because girls should be gentle and understanding. Feifei, however, says it's Han Lai's fault and tells him to annoy Yu since she's pitying Ting Ting. The two glare at each other for a second and then turn away angrily. Han Lai then tells Ting Ting to listen to Ming and be a bit more gentle. Suddenly, Chevedong stands up, calling all the sisters-in-law and asking who wants some tea. Everyone at the table goes silent. The girls get a little embarrassed, saying he can't be that direct. He says he understands, asks for the flavors, and they respond. Then he asks Ting Ting what the eldest sister-in-law would prefer. She gets angry, and he says he'll just grab a strawberry tea then. Meanwhile, the guy with sunglasses is wondering if he'll really end up alone in all of this. At this point, Ting Ting, seeing how calm Han Lai is, decides to call Panji to annoy him a bit. He tells her not to invite anyone else because after this, he has to go to the gym, trade some stocks, and won't have time. She responds that she'll let it go this time, but he better stop annoying her first. He chuckles and then says that everyone there has always looked out for him. He had wanted to host a dinner like this for a long time to bring everyone together, but never had the chance. He raises his glass, saying that today he received his first bonus ever, which isn't much but is meaningful. Their presence shows that he values the quality of his friends, not the quantity. He doesn't care about criticism from others unless it comes from his friends, and he asks them to go easy on him. Everyone starts celebrating, and his friend says it's cool. Meanwhile, Ting Ting wonders why this bastard is suddenly being so nice. Out of the blue, he stands up and tells the class monitor not to be so angry. He takes her hand and tells her to be more loving because she'll love everything that's served. She's a little confused, not knowing why he suddenly grabbed her hand like that. Then she receives a call from Pangi. As soon as she answers, Panji asks why she called and Ting Ting says it was by accident. Panji then questions what she's doing and she responds that she's in her room reading. However, Hyodong is standing right in front of her. He looks a little scared and she tells him to repeat who's at this so-called dinner. The next scene shows him returning to the room with a woman making soup. Lindy excitedly goes to celebrate her arrival, but that's when his expression changes. Someone with red painted nails asks what kind of celebration this is and why everyone looks so shocked. Obviously, it's Panji wanting to know if her presence there isn't welcome. Everyone is startled and Kin Kin asks what she's doing there. Panji just responds with that excuse about reading in her room. Kin Kin gets a little embarrassed, saying there's an explanation. Chevedong brings the bags and tries to explain. He says that when he went to get the tea, he ran into Pangi and ended up mentioning that they were drinking. She asked why a bunch of guys wanted strawberry tea and he accidentally let it slip that the girls were there. Han Lai puts a hand on his shoulder and says it's inevitable for someone with an intelligence deficit like his. The poor guy starts crying, saying that kind of consolation just made him feel worse. Then Han Lai walks over to Pangi and tells her to sit down. He explains that his plan was to invite her to a solo dinner, but since she arrived, it's the perfect time. He tells everyone to start ordering because they're all friends there. Some time passes and Chevedong is eating, saying the food is delicious. He asks for 2 more bottles of beer and tells Han Lai to join them. But suddenly the boy stands up, saying he has to leave because he has a workout at the gym tonight. He was about to pay the bill when Panji suddenly said she would leave with him because there was something she needed to discuss. Seeing this, Ting Ting looked confused about why Panji got up to follow this damn dog. She started to suspect something strange was going on. Outside on the street, Hanlai asked what Panji wanted to talk about. She wanted to know what he had discussed with her father. Hanlai explained that he had only met her father a few times, so they never had any serious conversations. He waved goodbye, saying that if that was her only question, he was leaving. But suddenly, she grabbed his arm and told him to stay put. She said she already knew her father thought she was in some kind of relationship with Ting Ting. She asked if it was true that their parents had asked him to try to form a connection with her. He denied it, all the while wondering how this damn girl had figured something like that out. He said her father's misunderstanding involved only father and daughter, had nothing to do with him. She complained, telling him to stop making things up and coming up with false arguments. Since the crab dinner and that misunderstanding, her father had been unusually kind to him, even though he was always strict with boys. Not to mention that the day he visited her house, things had been strange too. Hanlai asked what any of that had to do with him. If her father wanted to use him to sabotage her relationship with Ting Ting, in the end he was just being used. She was impressed by his audacity to respond like that. She then revealed that earlier that morning she had asked her mother a few things. She found out that her father had handed over some stock accounts for him to manage. He admitted it and asked why she was bringing it up. Now though, Hanlai was feeling insecure. He needed that money to continue advancing. The problem was that he didn't yet have control over Panji, and everything was tied to her. Unfortunately, she laid all her cards on the table, saying she now understood his situation. He had become a dog, essentially hired by her family. He was startled to see that she had figured everything out. She gave a sly smile and asked why he seemed so upset. She said if he truly didn't see a problem with this, he could simply explain the misunderstanding to her parents. Hanlai said the result of that would be returning the stock account to her father, which wouldn't affect him much. In the end, it was just a business relationship. If the boss didn't want him anymore, he wouldn't want to work there either. But the truth was, he was bluffing because he had already spent $150,000 out of the $500,000 and couldn't return it. Still, he knew that if she wanted to end everything, she would have spoken to her father, so he just needed to stay calm. He realized she wanted something and asked what it was. She gave him a mischievous look and asked if he truly wasn't interested in any of this. She wanted to know if he wasn't interested in her or in the opportunity her father had given him. Even though he was young and smart, he should know that opportunities didn't come often. Even if he was a prodigy, he should understand how long it would take to manage an account with over 3 million. He unwrapped a sweet and told her to get to the point. He popped it into his mouth and asked what she wanted in the end. She smirked and said it was obvious. She stepped closer and said she wanted him to belong to her. If she told him to end things with Ting Ting, he couldn't hesitate. If she called him to go out, he would have to drop everything and come immediately. If he refused, she would confront her family and his reputation would be completely ruined. She added that her father had been tricked once and despised people who acted deceitfully. At that moment, he realized she was threatening him even more than he had anticipated. She stepped closer and said he was quite useful and could help solve some problems she had. What she was offering was really just another opportunity for him. The poor guy was sweating nervously, unsure how to respond. It seemed she already knew about all the money involved. However, in the end, he hadn't lied to her father, so he wasn't too afraid. She turned around and said she would try this fake relationship for a while. But if he tried hard enough, it wasn't impossible for him to become her real boyfriend. Hanlai laughed, saying that after all her plans, she just wanted to date him. He smiled, thinking that now he had regained control of the situation. He then told her it would be better if she was honest with her father right away. There was already someone else he liked and her father knew about it. She laughed and didn't seem to believe him. She asked if it was one of the 3 girls or his childhood friend. Touching his chest, she said she already understood how he worked, and in this negotiation, everyone got what they wanted. She didn't care much about the money he was receiving and could even introduce him to some new clients. Turning to leave, she said he should calculate that with the 100,000 he had, he would have to win 100 times to make 10 million. Meanwhile, if he started earning with 10 million, he would need far less risk and fewer negotiations to achieve that. Hanlai stood there, realizing her logic was undeniable. As she walked away, he told her she should have made that offer sooner. He extended his hand and thought to himself that her financial power truly exceeded his by far. He decides to let her think she's winning for now and asks how much money she really has saved up and could use for investments. She pauses for a moment, starts doing some calculations, and wonders if he has actually given in. She mentions some cars, shares in her company, credit cards, and other assets. If she combined everything, she'd have at least 20 million ready to spend. At this, Hanlai is shocked. She really had way more money than he imagined. She wasn't just any heiress. Her father was truly one of the big players in the capital. He knew he had to seize the opportunity, but reminded himself this was a game and she wasn't a good person. So he says that from now on, he accepts her as his girlfriend. Confused, she asks what kind of nonsense that is. She was giving him an opportunity to try not to act so entitled. He crosses his arms and wonders why she's making everything so complicated. He thinks that he didn't even want to play this game anymore, but since she was insisting, he had no choice. Finally, she agrees and says that tomorrow she'll open an account and put in 1 million. He could manage it, and they'd split the profits. She looks a little annoyed, thinking how similar they are when it comes to seizing opportunities. But Han-Lai questions why only 1 million. He's not about to become someone's dog for so little. She turns away, saying she won't go beyond that, and advises him not to push his luck because she's not in the mood. Suddenly, he grabs her by the shoulder and waist. He leans in close and asks if that's what she's been avoiding. Just as she's about to ask what he's doing, the boy kisses her, out of nowhere. When it comes to money, he takes both steps. Obviously, they're in the middle of the city and everyone sees it. He then asks her what she thought. Was she satisfied with his skills? But she's left speechless, completely off balance and unsure what just happened. A moment later, he's already leaving in a car, saying that now that their relationship has begun, he expects good cooperation. Slowly, he waves goodbye, calling her a beginner. The poor girl screams at the sky, calling him a dog. She realizes that after a public kiss like that, she has no choice but to go along with him. Blushing, she starts reflecting on how her first kiss is gone and wondering why he was so aggressive, considering how many boys she'd met before. At the same time, she's puzzled about why she doesn't dislike it. Touching her face, she wonders if maybe she actually likes him. Meanwhile, in the car, Han-Lai is amazed by the effects of the candy he ate earlier. That candy seemed more like a drug, honestly. It made him calm, happy, and relaxed, lasting for 2 hours. Peculiar. He admits that it worked so well he almost considered staying longer with Panji, but he leans back and remembers how manipulative that girl is. He never imagined he'd lose this game and have to resort to this kind of move, especially since he had been saving his first kiss for Ting Ting. Man, this revenge really goes deep. Back with Panji, she's a little upset that she didn't gather much information and ended up getting caught in this game. Later, she returns to the meeting. Ting Ting calls her, saying the food is getting cold and asks if that weirdo finally left. But she notices something odd and asks if there's something wrong with Panji's lips. Panji looks embarrassed and Ting Ting says her lipstick seems off. Anyone would think that her expensive lipstick wouldn't smudge from just a 2-second kiss. Panji, feeling awkward, tries to play it off, saying maybe it's from chewing gum. But Ting Ting senses something fishy again. She leans closer and says Panji only uses extremely expensive lip products, so it's hard to imagine it smudging so easily. Panji makes up another excuse, saying it was actually gloss. But Ting Ting, being the relentless detective she is, moves closer and notices that Panji's lips look too cracked for someone wearing gloss. The poor girl is completely exposed, yet she keeps trying to come up with excuses. But Ting Ting already suspects she fell for that Dan dog's charm. Now Ting Ting wants to know who initiated it. She's frustrated, feeling like she hasn't even taken her first step, while Panji is already acting like this. Suddenly, she grabs Panji's chin, startling her, and leans in. The poor girl seems paralyzed by the forced closeness. But Ting Ting only gets closer to sniff and doesn't smell any gum. She starts thinking that Panji is more cunning than she imagined and must have been the one to force the kiss. Suddenly, chopsticks fall to the ground and everyone looks shocked. Panji screams that she's leaving and runs out. Outside, she runs away, upset. It seems Ting Ting did manage a light kiss, but unlike the earlier kiss with Han-Lai, Panji hated this one. Now she's wondering if she really fell for that Dan dog. Meanwhile, Xiaodong looks like a fool, lamenting that he missed the chance to take an amazing photo. Ting Ting just said that they were all a bunch of idiots for never having seen 2 girls kiss before. After that, the gathering ended and everyone said their goodbyes. On the way back, the protagonist's friends couldn't stop talking about the kiss. Xiaodong even mentioned that Su Xing seemed very skilled and confident. Maybe she really liked women. The problem was that, while they were discussing this, someone nearby overheard their conversation. It was one of Panji's father's friends and he decided to send him a message to discuss it. Meanwhile, Han-Lai was in the middle of his workout at the gym when the message arrived. It was from Yanfei, his old friend, congratulating him for hanging out with 3 girls at once. Han-Lai quickly realized it was his sunglasses-wearing friend who had spread the news to her. Apparently, the guy wanted to surround him with women to distract him from his sister. Yanfei was showing the messages to Xiang, laughing and saying this was so typical Han-Lai. She then asked if he was still dining with those beautiful girls, and he replied that he had already left for the gym. They chatted about his training and why he was working out. Han-Lai responded that he needed to get stronger to protect her after what happened back then. She blushed, realizing he still cared about that incident. He sent her a photo of himself, saying, "This is the result of hard work." Yanfei seemed impressed, while her friend had already noticed that Yanfei seemed to have feelings for him. But that was expected since he always drew attention. Then Han-Lai messaged them, saying that now that he had handled his classmates, he wanted to invite them to dinner as well. But Xiang suggested it would be better if it were just Yanfei and Han-Lai. Yanfei agreed and said she'd consider it, but she noticed that Xiang looked a bit sad at the suggestion. She quickly realized that her friend also liked Han-Lai. Understanding this, she replied that she was too busy at the moment and they could plan for another day. Han-Lai thought to himself that if she was going to reject him, she shouldn't have agreed in the first place. The boy took it to heart. Then he received a message from Yun, the gossip queen, who obviously had all the details about what happened. Of course, she brought up the kiss. She mentioned that knowing about the kiss and the dynamic between those two, Han Lai might forget about them, giving her a chance now. Meanwhile, Han Lai was doing some peculiar stretches at the gym. Those stretches didn't seem to be helping build muscle though. He was still annoyed about missing such an exciting scene. He told his coach that he had something to take care of and left. Rushing to the bathroom, he messaged Ting Ting, using his cucumber account of course. Ting Ting told him everything about the kiss, the gum, and strangely enough admitted that she liked the situation. Even Han Lai started wondering if the girl was now playing for the other team. He asked her directly if her sexuality had changed for good. She replied that it hadn't, but she wanted to provoke someone as a way to relax. Han Lai was confused about why she would do something like that to relax. He started theorizing that maybe she enjoyed acting that way to get inspiration for her novel or something similar. That would make some sense. The problem was that all of this was happening due to several coincidences. He regretted letting them find out about those things in the box that day. That had made Fei Fi curious, which ultimately led to the mess with Pangi. That situation had in turn triggered everything with Pangi's parents. All of it was a kind of butterfly effect stemming from different decisions in his past life. He then tells Ting Ting that most of her problems happen because she has too much yang energy. Like me, she's confused about what he means by that. He explains that her temperament is overly aggressive. It's probably something related to her menstrual cycle. He confidently states that she must be going through that phase and likely has headaches and other symptoms. Apparently, the boy's a genius and already knew this from somewhere because he got everything right. She says she's not in the mood to take medication, and he suggests the solution is spending more time with the person she's angry at to calm down. Though I find it odd considering all her problems started because of him. He sends her a long text explaining that deep down she wants to be won over. After reading his lengthy arguments, she concludes that it kind of makes sense. She rushes off telling her friends she forgot something, leaving them suspicious about her behavior. At the Raccoon Starbucks, she messages Han Lai asking if he's free tonight. He immediately wants to know which hotel they're going to. She gets flustered, as she only wanted to have an honest conversation with him. But she replies that if they're going to a hotel, he should be the one preparing it, and asks if he's a real man. He replies, saying fine, he'll prepare, and just asks when she'll arrive. She calls him delusional and says she'll leave it to someone else. Han Lai responds that's fine, he'll just invite someone else. This makes her curious about who he's planning to invite. She lowers her phone, assuming it must be Yun Yun, the only one likely to follow his lead. But then she hears something nearby. Pangi is rushing by. She starts wondering if it could be her. She privately calls Han Lai asking where he is, and he says he's at the hotel, getting everything ready for someone. Unable to disguise her suspicion, she demands to know if he invited Pangi. But Han Lai seems genuinely confused, asking why she's suddenly bringing up Pangi. He realizes Ting Ting must have seen Pangi pass by and concludes the girl is heading out at night. Before he can ask more, the call ends. Meanwhile, as Pangi is walking, someone places a hand on her shoulder. It's Ting Ting, greeting her mischievously. She comments on how late it is and asks where Pangi is going. Pangi is about to question why Ting Ting is there, but Ting Ting grabs her arm, asking what the problem is. It's so late and dark. Where could Princess possibly be heading? Feeling awkward, Pangi says her mother wasn't feeling well, so she's heading back home. Ting Ting expresses concern and insists on accompanying her to check on her mother. But Pangi says it's unnecessary since she's spending the night at home and bids her goodbye. Ting Ting insists it's dangerous, but Pangi explains that a car is coming to pick her up. Ting Ting grabs her arm again and says that if there's a car, then there's no problem. They can just return to school together tomorrow. Eventually, Pangi reluctantly agrees, saying, fine then. Sometime later, they finally arrive at Pangi's house. Ting Ting is confused, not expecting the girl to actually be going home. Pangi's mother appears and notices Ting Ting. Ting Ting greets her and explains that she heard she wasn't feeling well, so she accompanied Pangi home. Her mother walks to the counter, assuring her not to worry and that she's fine. In reality, though, she looks unwell. She had heard about the kiss between Ting Ting and Pangi, and now, to make matters worse, they'd arrived together. Thinking about the scene nearly makes her faint, and she excuses herself, saying she's heading back to her room to rest. This leaves the two girls standing there, unsure of what just happened. Pangi looks to the side and blames Ting Ting for everything. She sits on the sofa, demanding to know why Ting Ting followed her at night. Was she in love or just playing the knight in shining armor? Ting Ting awkwardly responds that of course, Pangi is beautiful and rich, so it's obvious she fell in love. But Pangi knows she's being sarcastic and warns her to be careful with her words, saying Ting Ting will have to deal with what happened at dinner tonight. Ting Ting laughs and shoves Pangi onto the sofa, saying that in the end, it was Pangi who stole Han Lai first. Pangi pushes her off, demanding to know what Ting Ting's relationship with Han Lai is. Was she the one stalking him, trying to dominate him, and acting crazy? Pangi considers coming up with an excuse, but decides that since they kissed and she didn't resist, she might as well admit she wants that dog. Ting Ting, taken aback, doesn't know how to respond to such a direct confession. Suddenly, Ting Ting sits up and admits that honestly, even though she has other friends, she feels the closest connection with Pangi. She knows they won't be together forever, but wants their friendship to last longer. Embarrassed, Pangi replies that just because of Han Lai, it doesn't mean they can't still be friends. After all, he's just a boy. But Ting Ting should know that she won't let her have a chance with him, no matter what. Ting Ting laughs, saying they seem to be progressing quickly, considering he was preparing a hotel room for them. Confused, Panji asks what she's talking about. Suspicious, Ting Ting asks for Panji's phone. She assumes Panji is lying. When she sees Hanlai's messages, she realizes Panji is telling the truth. She stares at Panji, who seems oblivious, saying she was just an innocent bystander dragged into all of this. Suddenly, Ting Ting gets up and tries to leave, waving goodbye. But Panji tackles her, pinning her to the floor, saying it's too dangerous for her to go out alone at night. Hearing the commotion, Panji's mother comes out. Panji declares that she won't let Ting Ting escape because they'll be spending the night together. The mother, observing the scene, thinks at least her daughter seems to be taking charge in the relationship. Ting Ting notices her and apologizes for disturbing her rest, promising to bring a gift next time. The mother is confused that Ting Ting doesn't even want a glass of milk and tells her daughter she seems to be maturing. Meanwhile, walking through the city, Hanlai gets a message from Ting Ting, asking for the name of the hotel he's in so she can check it out. He knows she's with Panji, so she must be bluffing. But then she sends him a photo of her middle finger, telling him to send the address quickly. A scene shifts to the Marriott Hotel, where Hanlai asks for a good room. The receptionist explains the hotel's features, but he's too distracted, scanning the lobby to see if Ting Ting will show up. He hurriedly asks to go upstairs and selects the presidential suite, the only room that allows direct access to the floor without lingering downstairs. Once in the room, he hands over his card and documents to finalize the booking. The card passes, and he spends 38,000 yuan from Panji's father's money. But thanks to this, he finally receives a reward from the system for spending money. He waves goodbye to the receptionist, who wishes him a good night. Inside the room, he opens the system and sees a white card, a stay card that allows him to pay only 20% of any hotel's costs, with the system covering the other 80%. He realizes this is the perfect way to stay in luxurious hotels while maximizing value. The only downside is that spending less earns fewer experience points. At that moment, he receives a message from Ting Ting saying she's arrived and demanding the room number. She seems hesitant, almost regretting coming and contemplating leaving. But then she sees a message from Hanlai that shocks her. He questions how she had the courage to show up and tells her to leave. Thinking he didn't believe she actually come, Ting Ting decides to stay. She declares she's not inconvenienced and demands the room number. He agrees and says he'll send someone to the lobby to fetch her. But in reality, this is just a mind game. He knows that acting reluctant will make her more determined to come up. This boy is playing advanced level chess. He opens the room door, inviting her in. Ting Ting, blushing and confused, asks what kind of room this is. He nonchalantly says it's the presidential suite, leaving her shocked. Why did this dog spend so much money just for her? She scolds him, but he brushes it off and tells her to come in. Once inside, she realizes she needs to take control of the situation. She's gone too far and can't let him dominate her now. She pokes his chest, accusing him of playing games with her and Panji, but he just laughs, making her even angrier. He gently takes her hand, kisses her forehead, and says she doesn't seem to like the room he rented. Leaning in, he whispers in her ear, suggesting they first explore everything the suite has to offer. She notices the maid showing them around the room. The woman addresses him as Mr. Han, which leaves Ting Ting a bit confused. Both of them are impressed when the maid shows them the massive bathtub, though honestly, it didn't look that big to me. The protagonist comments on whether the B6 level qualifies as 5-star accommodations, but he's quite picky. He mentions that the furniture in the secondary bedroom seem outdated. Meanwhile, Ting Ting is amazed by the imported brands throughout the suite. When she sprays a bit of the perfume provided, he leans in to sniff her neck. The maid then announces that she's leaving and wishes them to enjoy themselves in the room. As the door closes, Ting Ting looks puzzled by the maid's choice of words. He teases her, saying that apparently her mind isn't as pure as it seems. Flustered, she declares she'll stay in the secondary bedroom. He retorts that if that's the case, he'll have to charge her 10,000 yuan for the night. Angry, she grabs his arm, pulls him into the main room, opens a bottle of wine, and starts drinking. He's unsure how to respond to this. But as soon as she takes a sip, she notices he's on his phone. When she's about to complain, he shows her a message from Panji, asking what he's up to. Ting Ting demands he tell Panji he's at the hotel with her. He agrees but asks what he'll get in return for sending that message. His calm demeanor only irritates Ting Ting further. She snatches the phone from his hand and says he should start confessing to her. If he asked her to be his girlfriend and stop messing around with other women, she'd give him whatever he wanted tonight. The offer is tempting and Hanlai is taken aback by her boldness. It seems like both of them are finally showing their true colors tonight. They share their first kiss and Ting Ting notices a sweet, familiar taste. But Hanlai doesn't stop there and pulls her into the moment. The next thing you know, she's handcuffed. Wait, what just happened? She's wondering the same thing. He tells her that in this relationship, he's the one who makes the rules. Blushing furiously, she struggles to understand why she feels so flustered in this situation. Suddenly, clothes are on the floor. He calls her class monitor, apologizes, and tells her she shouldn't have called him a dog. Holding her hands, you can imagine what happened next, right? I never thought it'd take 91 chapters for this, but the boy finally scored a goal. She's left lying on the bed, murmuring that she wouldn't even mind being his second or even his eighth. He removes the handcuffs and her wrist is slightly marked. She's blushing, thinking about how gentle he was with her. Well, that's her perspective, at least she calls it gentleness. Holding her arm, he comments on how fiery her temperament is. She begs him not to treat her like that anymore, but he knows that if he starts being kind, she'll lose interest in him. He reflects on how her friend Fei Fei always treated her well, yet Ting Ting liked Pangy more despite the chaos she caused. If he starts giving in to her requests, she'll stop liking him too. Suddenly, she pulls her hand away, pondering if it might be true. If he stops provoking her, her interest might fade as well. He then makes her an offer, saying that if she wants to submit to him, he could try being her master. Wait, what's even happening here? This is getting peculiar. Ting Ting throws a pillow at him, telling him to stop with the weird talk and go get her some food because she's hungry. But he replies that if she has the energy to complain, she has the energy for something else, and jumps on her again. Some time passes, and the hotel staff brings a meal to them. Ting Ting, seemingly resigned, asks who his main girlfriend is. Han Lai, confused, asks her back, who does she prefer, Pangy or Yanfei? Without hesitation, Ting Ting replies that Yanfei is definitely better because Pangy absolutely doesn't deserve any of this. He teases her, asking if she really means that anyone would be better as long as it's not Pangy, and she agrees. He then comments that their friendship doesn't seem very genuine. An argument breaks out in the room. I don't know exactly what happened, but now it's the next day. As soon as he returns to the dormitory, his brother drops to his knees, apologizing for what happened yesterday. Han Lai responds that he has no idea what they're talking about. But from the other bed, Xiaodong spills the beans, saying it's about the photos he sent to his sister and her friend. Our boy considers picking up a hammer and knocks some sense into him, but decides to let it go. His friends then invite him to go out that night because there's going to be a fun game involving money, a somewhat unclear situation. The only problem is that it involves some seniors, and Han Lai warns them to be careful because there seems to be a guy who likes Pangy. However, Han Lai is more worried that people will find out he kissed Pangy and went to a hotel with Ting Ting all in the same day. The scene shifts to room 204. They are visiting the seniors, who are apparently the ones participating in that strange game I still don't understand. There are two others sitting on the bunk bed. One of them seems annoyed that this guy showed up, while the one with glasses just observes. One of the guys gets up, places a hand on the protagonist's shoulder, and tells him to make himself at home because they're all brothers here. The senior doesn't seem to like that, and the green-haired guy reveals that it seems this person wanted to be on top in that finance competition, but didn't end up winning. However, the guy with glasses retorts, pointing out that the green-haired one who's mocking him was interested in Pangy but also failed to win her over. Man, everyone in this room seems to have lost something to Han Lai. Better be careful, kid. The red-haired guy congratulates Han Lai, saying that if he really has connections with Pangy, he's a lucky guy. Embarrassed, Han Lai looks away, saying it's all just a joke. He claims he's only close to her because her father asked him to keep an eye on her and ensure nothing bad happens to his daughter. The guys keep observing, and the one smoking says he now understands what's going on. It seems the boy they were suspicious of doesn't have such a deep connection with Pangy after all. But the red-haired guy slams the table, saying that's not how it is. He's seen Han Lai very close to her countless times, so clearly something's going on. The protagonist then comments that this boy's name is Xiaoxi and tells him that if he doubts it, he should go talk to Pangy's father. At that point, his dorm friends tell the guys to stop pestering the protagonist. However, the smoker didn't know the boy was so close to the entire Pan family. The protagonist reveals that he's only managing the father's investment account and that it's nothing too serious. For some reason, his friends start laughing, saying his skills are impressive, probably just to mock the others. The glasses-wearing guy, annoyed, decides to calm down and says that for the protagonist to have so many skills, he must come from a rich family. The protagonist replies that his family has dealt with finances quite a bit, and that's how he learned. Zhao, his friend, asks if his family worked in a bank or something like that. The truth, of course, is that his mother worked as a supermarket cashier, so in a way he's not really lying, right? At this point, Zhaoxi says it's time to get to the main topic. He pulls out a deck of cards and announces it's time to start the games. Han Lai, however, replies that he's not here to play because he doesn't like gambling. But as the system activates, he gains a new skill, obviously related to card games and gambling. When combined with his psychological skill, the effect would be doubled. He picks up the deck from the table and says he only came to get to know everyone better. Seeing his attitude, his dorm mates immediately know he's about to stir up trouble again. Meanwhile, Zhaoxi wonders why he seems so confident. The scene shifts back to Ting Ting, who's feeling nervous, her heart racing. Yun asks why she's wearing a turtleneck when it's so hot outside. Ting Ting replies that she's not feeling well and is a bit cold, hence the outfit. But the truth is obvious, she's trying to hide a mark left by the dog, as she calls him. She considers messaging him to ask what he's doing, but decides against it and deletes the draft. For now, her focus is on avoiding him and staying hidden. She looks up, muttering for him to wait. For what? Unclear. The scene cuts back to Zhaoxi crushing a soda can and throwing it on the ground. Apparently, the protagonist has already left and they got thoroughly beaten. The smoker, however, admits it was their own fault. Han Lai was calm the entire time and behaved well, which makes him actually like the guy. He also advises Xiaoxi to forget about Pangi because in the end she's just another girl. But Xiaoxi insists he can't forget her, not only because she's beautiful, but because she's incredibly wealthy. Just considering the villa she lives in, marrying her would set him up for life. Marrying her is the fastest way for him to climb the social ladder. He then asks the guy with glasses if he's still thinking about Ting Ting. Oh boy, this poor guy doesn't even know what's already happened with her. The glasses guy asks why Xiaoxi is curious, and Xiaoxi questions if he's heard the rumors circulating among the girls. He mentions the story about Ting Ting not returning home after dinner, and now glasses guy is dying to know what happened. The scene shifts to Han Lai back in his dormitory, sitting under neon lights late at night. Brother Wine, the smoker from earlier, tells him he's a good guy and says to message him anytime he needs something. But Han Lai is more focused on making money and thinking about profitable deals. The guy with glasses wonders what kind of persuasion Han Lai uses to keep winning and making more money. He turns to the side, reflecting on how being near Panji has drawn so much attention. Then it hits him. Strangely, Ting Ting hasn't messaged him all day. He decides to text her and invite her out the next day, but as soon as he sends the message, he realizes he's blocked again. The poor guy is shaking in disbelief that she did this out of nowhere. The next morning, Han Lai is already on the move, dedicated to fitness. After trading some stocks, he starts wondering why he hasn't received any messages. Neither Yun Yun nor Fei Fei has talked to him, which leaves him feeling a bit lonely. He questions what's going on since he doesn't remember having any issues with them recently. Deciding to brush it off for now, he heads to lunch. But just as he's at the cafeteria, Pangi grabs him and asks where her Lai Lai is eating today. Out of nowhere, he yanks her hand away and tells her that she herself said they didn't have that kind of relationship, so she shouldn't act like they do. The truth is, he's scared since Ting Ting is angry. This is the worst possible time to reveal anything about his relationship with Pangi. Some time passes and Pangi, looking confused, grabs Han Lai's shirt and asks why he's avoiding her like this. She points out that he didn't even message her yesterday and she missed him. The sly guy responds that if she missed him so much, they could get a hotel today. Relentless, isn't he? She jokingly agrees but says he'd have to inform her father which hotel it is first. Immediately, Han Lai runs off, saying he has other things to take care of and is not getting involved in that. Panji wonders if he's avoiding her because of Ting Ting. Fixing her hair, she tells herself it's fine since she has plenty of time and will handle this slowly. For now, she just wants to find out if he and Ting Ting are meeting secretly. Han Lai, meanwhile, searches for Ting Ting, asking around until he finally spots her in a classroom next to Yun Yun. But as soon as she sees him, she turns away and completely ignores him. The poor guy has no idea why she's acting like this or what he did wrong. Not wanting to humiliate himself further, he decides to head to the gym, the best way to clear his mind. While working out, though, he keeps wondering what he did. He thought that after their night at the hotel, their relationship would improve, but she's colder than ever. To make things worse, Panji's behavior is also off, making him wonder if they talked about what happened. He feels like he has no choice but to use his secret card to resolve this. Meanwhile, Ting Ting looks a bit down, focused on some schoolwork when her phone rings. Of course, it's Han Lai on his secret account asking if she's finished more chapters of her novel. He adds that if she's feeling sad, she can talk to him about it. Ting Ting considers telling him about what happened that night at the hotel, but decides against confiding in her friends. Thinking she can't keep it all to herself, she figures that talking to someone online who doesn't know her might be the best option. She starts typing, but instead just apologizes, saying she's finishing the last chapters. Han Lai reassures her to take her time and says if there's any problem, she can talk to him. She gets emotional, thinking he somehow noticed she was upset and genuinely cares about her. She then confesses she spent the night with a semi-god. The clueless guy feigns shock and asks her to explain, remarking that they progressed quickly considering she didn't seem to like him before. She explains they rented a hotel room and she ended up giving herself to him. Han Lai comments that he thought she was sad about something else but sees it's just a couple's quarrel. Ting Ting corrects him, saying it's not a quarrel, it's a war. A bit hesitant, Han Lai suggests negotiating with the guy, but she insists she has no intention of doing so. She finds him much worse than the character in her story and is convinced things won't work out between them. Oddly, Han Lai accepts that she's reached the right conclusion. He asks if she's really planning to give up on everything. In his mind, she's already paid for the injustices she caused in their past lives. Treating her as just a business partner might be the best option going forward. Ting Ting replies that she's not giving up because he's like a wild dog. She knows no woman can truly control him. Instead of acting like a fool, she'll stay close, keep an eye on him, and watch the show unfold. In the meantime, she'll focus on her studies, keep training, and continue writing. When she feels strong enough, she'll face him again and win him back. This makes Han Lai laugh. Now it's clear she's distancing herself because she's afraid she won't be able to control herself. And with Panji getting closer, he suspects the two had some sort of conversation. In his crazy mind, he thinks it's inevitable that he'll eventually become her master. As he's leaving the gym, the instructor suggests he practice using gymnastic rings to improve his balance. Though it sounds like hard work, Han Lai says he'll look into it later. Back home, he's thinking about getting closer to Brother Wang to gain a favor. Though it's unclear what his plan is, Wang asks if Hanlai really needs those fitness rings installed. Hanlai confirms he does, and Wang agrees to help. Hanlai's plan is to let Wang do him a favor so they can grow closer. During their conversation, Wang discovers Hanlai is renting a hotel. He comments that it must be a suite, likely costing around 4,000 yuan. Hanlai plays dumb, claiming he has no idea what a suite costs. In reality, though, he's staying in a presidential suite. Wang looks confused. Why would a high schooler be staying in such a place? And if he really rented that suite for the year, he must have way more money than Wang expected. Taking advantage of a moment, Hanlai tells Wang that if he ever needs help, he can arrange a hotel for him too. He adds that it's a perfect place for various activities like hosting friends. Wang thanks him, and they laugh, but suddenly, Pangyi shows up. She immediately calls for Hanlai, saying she's been looking for him all over the cafeteria. As she calls him over, Hanlai responds by asking why she doesn't call Ting Ting instead. While Wang has already figured out that the two probably have a relationship based on how Pangyi is acting, Hanlai tries to escape, saying he has dinner plans with a friend. But Pangyi turns to Brother Wang and asks if she can borrow Hanlai for a while. A bit awkwardly, Wang agrees, and he's almost done eating anyway. Walking through the city arm in arm, Hanlai asks what he did wrong this time. She pulls her arm away and says it's nothing serious, she just felt like annoying him a bit. A little dejected, he says it's fine if that makes her happy. Then he smiles and says it's the perfect time for her to have come to him. He mentions that her father's stocks are doing very well this week, and that's why he'll visit her house to show the results. She feels a bit uneasy and asks what he's planning by wanting to go to her house. She tries to brush it off, saying he can just give her the results, and she'll pass them on to her father. But he grabs her arm and asks if she didn't say she missed him. She pulls her hand away, telling him to let go because he shouldn't touch her without her consent. Hanlai finds it amusing that she can't handle this kind of attitude. He then asks if he can go home with her. She's torn, wanting to refuse but unsure of what he might do if she doesn't agree. Besides, after the incident with Ting Ting, things have only been getting worse, so she needs to stabilize their relationship quickly. Hanlai, on the other hand, is a bit confused while she worries he might think she's promiscuous or easy. But with no other option, she agrees, saying she'd have to go home late anyway and tells him to come along. However, she adds that afterward, she plans to go to the cinema, so he should buy tickets for them. Hanlai, smiling like a fool, says if that's the deal, he'll accept. The next scene shows him standing with tickets and popcorn in hand, looking like an eager puppy waiting for her. She shows up laughing, takes some popcorn, and pops it into his mouth, thanking him for buying everything for her. Meanwhile, Hanlai notices a guy in the background taking pictures of them, but the amateur had the flash on, making it obvious. Hanlai suspects Pangyi herself hired this guy and wonders why she would want such a photo. The scene shifts to the cinema, and they're watching Titanic for what feels like the millionth time. Hanlai hears some noises beside him and tells Pangyi to stop using her phone during the movie. She looks at him and says she's not bothering anyone, especially since it's just the two of them in the whole place. But Hanlai snatches the phone from her hand, saying it's bothering him. He adds that if she starts obeying him, he'll explain the Xuking situation to her father more clearly. She turns away, saying fine as long as he doesn't say anything stupid to her dad. In truth, she was using the photo to post on her social media, avoiding having to explain anything to her father. Plus, it was the perfect move to eliminate her competition with Xuking. Hanlai, however, has already figured out that she's always scheming and up to no good. Time passes, and they arrive at her house. As soon as she announces her arrival, her mother comes out, asking if Xuking has come with her daughter again. But upon seeing Hanlai, she's startled. There he is, greeting Aunt Zhao, a cheerful hello. Her mother scolds Pangyi, calling her messy for bringing Hanlai over without warning. Hanlai apologizes on her behalf, saying he's actually there to meet Uncle Pan. Pangyi stands to the side, quietly knowing this dog is just pretending to be polite. Suddenly, they hear her mother frantically calling her husband, telling him that Hanlai is at their house. She even mentions that the two came back from the cinema together, saying it's something to celebrate. To avoid the situation, Hanlai asks Pangyi to show him around the house. She initially refuses, but quickly changes her mind when he mentions the incident with Ting Ting and the kiss. She yells, fine, and starts pushing him to move. As they walk around the house, they continue chatting. She notices that at least when Hanlai is quietly reading, he seems much more obedient. It would be much better if he didn't have such a dirty mouth and didn't talk so much nonsense. Hanlai catches her staring and asks why she's looking at him like that. Embarrassed, she turns away and tells him to stop being so narcissistic because she wasn't staring at him at all. And even if she was, what would he do about it? Charge her for it. He replies that he'd never do such a thing. But if she wants to give him money, she's welcome to because it's always nice to have extra. Suddenly, he asks if she remembers what they talked about the first time they met. She asks, what was it? He reminds her that he mentioned how beautiful her eyes were. Oh boy, there he goes again, making his move. She blushes slightly and glances at him. The two stand there awkwardly for a moment, looking like fools. She mutters that it's nothing special. Then they lock eyes again. Did something happen? Doesn't seem like it because she asks why he doesn't stop looking at her like that. Quickly changing the subject, she asks what's going on between him and Xuking. As far as she remembers, they had agreed he wouldn't talk to her anymore. Suddenly, they hear her mother's voice at the door, announcing that her father is arriving. While her mother asks if the boy wants to stay for dinner, Han-Lai already has his hand behind Panji's head. She tries to say something, but it's too late. He kisses her. Han-Lai has been on the offensive in recent chapters. She's left flustered, and he tells her to stay quiet, warning her that her mother is right outside and will find out if she makes a sound. Annoyed, she clenches her fists and storms off, saying she won't forget this. Opening the door, she asks her mother what she needs. Ban Zhao stares at her, glances at her lips, and seems to notice something. No way did this mother figure out a 2-second kiss. She's like Sherlock Holmes. She tells her daughter to invite Han-Lai to dinner, insisting she stop giving the boy such a hard time. Inwardly, she wonders why her daughter likes Ting Ting and not him. Panji, confused, says she's never done anything bad to the boy. At that moment, Han-Lai steps in, saying she was just showing in her comic book collection. The mother invites him to dinner since it's getting late. Han-Lai tries to excuse himself, saying he's heading to the gym. But the mother insists that being a little late for training won't be an issue. She gives her daughter a look, and Panji immediately understands the unspoken message. She clings to Han-Lai, saying training on an empty stomach would be worse because he needs energy. The mother, emotional, feels her plans for her daughter and Han-Lai are finally working out. She declares it's settled. She'll start cooking now, and the two of them can stay together in the meantime. Some time passes, and they're sitting on the bed. Panji moves away and tells him to stop trying to kiss her. She warns him that she knows he only kissed her earlier to dodge questions about Ting Ting. He claims he has no idea what she's talking about since Ting Ting has her own life. If she wants to know, she should ask Ting Ting herself, not him. Playing dumb, she says she already talked to Ting Ting, who admitted she was with him. Han-Lai stands firm, saying it seems he's being used as a scapegoat by both of them. Panji looks puzzled. She's not entirely sure why Ting Ting didn't say much, and she only knows the two didn't return together last night. She turns to him and asks where he was then, since he usually sleeps in the dormitory. He explains he was on the second floor with some seniors, one of whom was named Wang Xiao Chang. She recognizes the name and knows this guy loves partying and women. Why was Han-Lai with him? The protagonist explains it's all thanks to her and the problems she keeps creating. After the day Han-Lai had to defend Panji from those guys, everyone started thinking they had some sort of relationship. And now the seniors came to talk to him. Panji feels a bit nervous, wondering if those guys were planning to beat him up. The truth is, she wanted to create some trouble for Han-Lai, but not to the point where he'd get hurt. All she wanted was to give him a little headache. Meanwhile, in the seniors' room, the guys are kicking the walls. They've just seen the picture of Panji and Han-Lai at the cinema on social media. Jiaxi is fuming, practically foaming at the mouth, ready to kill the bastard who stole his girl so blatantly. He declares they need to teach this kid a lesson and asks Wester if he'll help him. Poor Wester is slumped in a corner, dejectedly saying he'll try to do something. The truth is, he doesn't want trouble with Jiaxi or Han-Lai, but has somehow gotten dragged into all this. Sometime later, Panji's father finally arrives home and asks where his daughter is. When he looks to the side, he sees her with Han-Lai and she's wearing her high school uniform. He asks why, and she explains that Han-Lai wanted to see her in it, so she decided to wear it for him. She's a bit embarrassed because while she was changing, he kept sneaking kisses and similar gestures. She ended up tolerating it since it would help her with the trust issues her father had been having. Her father is impressed that she went so far as to change her clothes just for this boy. Apparently, the money and time he invested in Han-Lai are paying off rather quickly. He then comments that as long as the two are behaving, that's all that matters. He even tells Han-Lai that his wrist looks like it needs a nice watch and says they'll look at his collection after dinner. Han-Lai immediately realizes why he's being so friendly and responds that he only came to bring Panji home and didn't intend to impose. He also mentions that the investment accounts performed well this week. However, Han-Lai is worried about how his relationship with Panji will develop. If her father ever discovers the truth, everything will fall apart. For now, his plan is to avoid taking any real responsibility in the matter. Panji's father praises the gains and asks if Han-Lai thinks he'll win the competition. Han-Lai replies that as much as he knows about finances, it's impossible to predict everything. Even with strong fundamentals, a bit of luck is necessary to win such tournaments. That said, he promises to do his best and give it his all to win the championship. Panji silently muses that the dog looks quite handsome when he's serious. Her father, meanwhile, is thinking that the boy has a bright future. However, his main focus is still bringing his daughter back to the family fold. He tells Panji to help her mother in the kitchen because he wants to have a private conversation with Han-Lai. As soon as she leaves, he turns to Han-Lai and says his ideas are excellent. If things keep progressing like this, he has nothing to worry about. However, he advises Han-Lai to remember to work hard in his career but also pay close attention to relationships. That's why he wants to know how things are going between him and Panji. Han-Lai is startled by how direct the question is but responds that they talk a bit every day and occasionally have dinner together. He mentions they even watched a movie earlier and that his only problem is managing enough time to study. Han Lai's plan is to continue developing this relationship gradually and make as much money as possible. He tells her father that since he entrusted him with the account, he feels a strong obligation to study hard and work diligently. Pan Yi's father responds that if Han Lai is feeling so pressured by his studies, he could hire a tutor to help him. Privately, the father wonders why this foolish boy doesn't understand that if he marries his daughter, the $3 million in the investment account will be nothing compared to the inheritance he could gain. The father then asks how things are going between Han Lai and Ting Ting. Han Lai replies that since they're in the same class, they spend quite a bit of time together, during lunch and sometimes even in the evenings. The father nearly loses it, trying to stay calm, while Han Lai feigns innocence, asking what the problem is. A while later, the scene shifts to dinner. Apparently, Han Lai talked with Pan Yi's father about some hotels and local developments. It seems there are some high-end hotels in the area that are always fully booked, while other parts of the city have hotels that aren't as busy. He explains it all with charts and graphs, but that's essentially the gist of it. The parents are thrilled that the two are having such a productive conversation, while Pan Yi is sneakily posting a photo of Han Lai on social media. The caption says she's listening deeply as he chats with her father. Even Ting Ting and Xiaoxi like the post. Poor Xiaoxi leaves some confused question marks in the comments. Back in the seniors' room, one of them advises against messing with Han Lai, saying the kid isn't normal. But Xiaoxi is still fuming, declares that there's no way he'll let it slide. His friend tells him to let it go, pointing out that Pan Yi and Han Lai already seem to be together. But Xiaoxi refuses, saying he won't give up on Pan Yi. He recounts how his uncle facilitated his connection with her, and that even her father doesn't dislike him. That's why he won't let the bastard Han Lai steal his opportunity. The guy in the white shirt tells Xiaoxi to hand over the room key, assuring him they won't hurt Han Lai. Reluctantly, Xiaoxi hesitates, wondering if these guys have lost their minds. Suddenly, a guy named Kong Yi's appears and tells him to stop being a coward. Han Lai warns Kong not to get involved, but Kong brushes him off, saying he's curious to see what Han Lai is capable of. Kong grabs Huang Wei by the collar, questioning if he really wants to see what happens. Huang Wei shakes him off, looking distraught, and warns them that they don't know who they're dealing with. He mutters that Han Lai is a psychopath who will hammer them. The others insist on going through with it until the guy in the white shirt announces the plan. They'll strike at 11 p.m. Reluctantly, Huang Wei pulls out the room key and hands it over, cautioning them that Han Lai is terrifying. The group leaves the room, wondering if they should bring more people along. Meanwhile, Han Lai stays behind, sensing something isn't right. The guy with glasses asks where he's going, but Han Lai just replies it's none of his business and slams the door on his way out. Han Lai then grabs his phone and informs the teachers that members of the student council will be inspecting rooms that night, so they shouldn't worry. Later, in room 404, Han Lai enters. He turns on the light, unaware that someone outside is watching. A message is sent to Xiaoxi, and the group gets the update. Xiaoxi declares that in 10 minutes, they'll launch their attack. Han Lai better be ready. Inside the room, Han Lai is cheerfully examining the setup, noticing the fitness rings his friend had installed on the ceiling. He's impressed with how quickly they were set up. However, there's a white cloth hanging nearby, and he has no idea what it's for. Curious, he imagines pulling himself up and using it for some kind of stretching exercise. A bit eccentric, he decides it'll be fun to try out. He grabs the rings, pulls himself up, and starts doing a chin-up. Just as he places his chin on the bar, the lights suddenly go out and the door swings open. Xiaoxi and his friends execute their plan to catch Han Lai completely off guard. The plan was to beat Han Lai to a pulp and make him beg for mercy. Xiaoxi was ready to punch him in the face and warn him to stay away from Pan Yi. However, the scene he witnessed when the door opened was far more horrifying than he had anticipated. He froze in the doorway and calmly asked why he wasn't going in. When Xiaoxi opened the door, calling everyone cowards, he was stunned. It looked like Han Lai was hanging by his neck. He was just hanging there, motionless and in the dark. No one could see his face. Xiaoxi immediately dropped his bat and ran off, shouting that the crazy guy wasn't alive anymore. One of the others scolded him for being a coward, reminding him that they hadn't even done anything to Han Lai yet. Kong, however, admitted that something wasn't right with this guy. Determined, he said he'd take Han Lai down and told everyone to call an ambulance. But as Kong approached, Han Lai's foot moved, sending chills through him. Terrified, he froze, wondering why it seemed like the body was alive. Suddenly, more people arrived at the door, asking what was going on. Everyone stared in shock at the scene before them. The startled group panicked, yelling that the room was haunted and fleeing in terror. Kong, poor guy, ended up stuck on the stairs, claiming something strange was going on and that this wasn't normal. He banged on the door, begging to be let out, insisting they shouldn't lock him in there. Meanwhile, Han Lai, smirking, bid them all a good night and flipped them off as they scrambled to escape. Obviously, Han Lai had realized right away that the group was planning to ambush him in the middle of the night. He pulled himself down from the rings, muttering about how bold these fools were to try something like this. He decided that if he didn't teach them a lesson, he wouldn't be Han Lai. Grabbing the hammer he kept under his pillow, he declared it was time to settle the score. Meanwhile, his doormates were running toward the room. Hanlai explained that this attack was happening because one of the guys apparently wanted to date Panji. The red-haired one asked how many there were, and Hanlai said it was a whole group. But then they stopped in their tracks as they saw several guys standing in front of the room, panting and scared. Confused, they asked what these guys were doing in the hallway. From the back, someone came running, screaming about a dead person and yelling for someone to call the police or an exorcist because there was a zombie in the building. One of Hanlai's doormates misunderstood, thinking something terrible might have happened to him. At the door of room 404, they knocked, urging whoever was inside to come out. Hanlai remarked that if no one was answering, something must have happened. Brother Wang suggested turning on the lights. Finally, the red-haired guy stepped forward, placed his hand on the doorknob, and began to open the door. He was confused when he saw Hanlai calmly reading while the intruders were crouched on the floor, looking terrified. Afterward, Hanlai asked who else had just entered the room. A new arrival introduced himself as Liu Ying-jun, explaining that he had only come in to ensure there weren't any problems. Liu Ying continues slowly entering the room until he steps on something strange. It felt kind of sticky, and he wondered if it might be blood. However, just as he decides to sniff it to check the smell, the lights suddenly come back on. Hanlai wonders if this is going to mess up his plan. That's when Liu Ying sees what he stepped on. It was someone's intestines partially eaten. The guy throws up because of this. He clearly has a weak stomach. Meanwhile, the protagonist is standing there looking confused. Brother Wang enters the room, already noticing the bad smell, asking if everyone is okay. As soon as they notice him enter, someone clings to his leg, begging for help and saying they want to be saved. However, Hanlai speaks sternly, asking who gave them permission to move. At this, Wang asks for help and goes over to the boy to wash his face. He turns, glancing at the protagonist, who stares back at him, causing him to tremble. The fool is already on the ground, apologizing, saying he would never have gotten involved in something like this. It was all a terrible coincidence. But Hanlai only questions if they think this place is a playground where they can come and go as they please. If they really wanted to leave, they'd first have to clean the place up. Wang tells the boy to calm down, saying he'll call someone to clean up because the smell is pretty bad. Seeing the boy get up, he asks if he has somewhere to go and if he's okay. Hanlai smiles at this. Then he changes his expression, saying he was just joking with his friends and of course he's not angry. They don't need to worry, he has somewhere to stay and all he wants is for them to clean this up. Wang even extends his hand, saying it's fine and that he can go. Just as the boy seems to relax, Wang smacks him on the head. Liu Ying then asks what Hanlai's background is, wondering why Brother Wang is treating him so well. Wang replies that they'll talk about it later, as they first need to clean the room. After all, if Panji found out about all this, they'd be done for. The scene shifts to Panji lying calmly on a bed. She receives a photo of his neck, with him saying her friends are terrifying. She's startled and wonders if they really hit him. Her mom sees her putting on her shoes and asks where she's going so late. Heading for the door, she says something happened at school and she urgently needs to go. Her mom wants to know what it is, but she just waves goodbye, saying she'll be back soon. Left alone, her mom wonders why this child has been acting so strange lately. In the car, Panji asks where the boy is, and he says he's at the hotel. Another problem incoming. In the mirror, Hanlai looks battered. His neck is red because he had been hanging from a bedsheet. He's amazed at how those old guys in the park pull off such maneuvers. Suddenly, someone knocks on the door. It's obviously Panji, frantically saying she wants to take him to the hospital. She was scared by the photos, imagining the rest of his body must be even worse. When the door opens, he grabs her arm and pulls her inside. Before a second passes, she's already against the wall, asking what's wrong. She tries to explain, saying she knows he's mad but didn't think things would turn out like this. She says you should let her go first because they need to go to the hospital. Hanlai just says yes, he's mad. He pulls her by the arm, saying he doesn't want her fake apologies. He warns her to accept his revenge. Poor Panji, all red, starts admitting she was wrong. He throws her onto the bed, and it looks like a spanking is coming. Before she can ask what he's doing, she already gets the first smack. She screams, apologizing and saying she was truly wrong. She runs to the corner of the bed, telling him to stop messing around so they can go to the hospital. He moves closer, asking why his neck ended up like that. Did they strangle him or do something else? That would be a crime and he should call the police. Now it's her turn to go on the offensive. She cups his face, asking if he has more injuries. He then says the spot where she's sitting hurts quite a bit. She pauses for a second and glances down. Immediately, she yells at him, asking how he can act like a pervert after getting beaten up. He tells her to go easy on her movements because it hurts, and she says she's leaving. But he grabs her arm, telling her not to move. She's awake now, admitting her body was aching a lot. But the truth is his body hurts because of the gym. She pauses for a second, asking if it still hurts now that she's shifted back a bit. The rascal gets up, saying maybe she should try kissing him. Her kisses relieve pain. The fool seems to believe this. She fixes her hair, saying it better not be a cheap lie. She gives him a peck on the cheek or maybe the nose. It's unclear. She steps back, saying now they can go to the hospital. But the boy moves in quickly, grabbing her back, pulling her close and stealing a kiss. The poor girl is left bewildered, not understanding what just happened. He's too fast. He says only a real kiss will relieve his pain. She immediately starts scolding him, saying she realizes now he's not really hurt and is just playing with her. He replies that he didn't get hurt because they were unlucky to mess with him. If it had been anyone else, the story might have been different. She glares at him, looking annoyed. Some time passes and it seems he explained everything to her. She asked about the lights going out and if that was enough. Confident, he responds yes, but she doesn't seem to believe him. She says she doubts he'd let those guys off so easily, so what is he planning? Hanlai asks if she thinks he should call the police to ensure they get punished, or if she already knows something like that wouldn't work well. For those who mess with him, he'll have plenty of opportunities, but there's something else he's more interested in now. She asks what that is, and he says it's the desire to collaborate with her. That's when he proposes the idea of a hotel, explaining that the guys keep gathering on the second floor of the college because there isn't a cheap, good hotel nearby. If they could provide that at a good price, they could make a lot of money. Pangi immediately asks if his plan is to keep cutting the school's power to make those guys leave and look for his hotel. She admits she knows that at least everyone in that dorm has plenty of money. She then asks where he plans to rent for the guys, and he replies that's where her partnership comes in. He needs a small investment of $1.5 million that could bring in $300,000 a month in profit. He knows $300,000 a month is little for her, but if she earned it on her own, she wouldn't have to rely on her father anymore. That way, she wouldn't have to submit to a forced marriage, which is undoubtedly worse. She seems thoughtful while he tells her she should seize the chance to take control. She hesitates, knowing he's right, but in some ways, she's already resigned to her fate. Suddenly, she says $2 million, surprising the boy. She says he's right, she's tired of this predetermined life. Since he's interesting, she'll give him the chance to show what he can achieve. If it works, she'll invest more, but she doubts he can pull it off with just $2 million. If he fails, she'll just consider it entertainment. She looks at her hand and asks if she's really giving $2 million so easily. She says yes, because she just doesn't want to be bored. He takes her hand, saying it's a pleasure to do business with someone so direct. But suddenly, she stands up, saying he must have misunderstood something. Confused, he wonders if she changed her mind. She walks toward him, saying they're not partners. At this moment, they're accomplices. Though honestly, I don't know what she means since she's not doing anything criminal. It's her money. But she says the money will be in his account by morning. He doesn't need to worry about the transfers. She'll handle it. Then she leaves, waving goodbye to her accomplice. She really left and didn't do anything. The boy missed the chance to score and got humiliated by the girl. The fool even turns a bit red, saying she left him, let's say, excited. Back in the field, the guys are all terrified. Someone is yelling at them, asking if they really thought they could hit him like that. Kong, fed up with the scolding, stands up, saying next time he'll kill that kid. With his hands blazing, he says he'll rip off his head, even if it means spending 10 or 20 years in prison. Wang tells him to stop thinking like that, saying it's easy for him but would complicate things for the rest of them. Besides, they need to understand that Hanlai might seem lazy, but he has a lot of connections. He pretends to be a nobody because he enjoys it. Then Jiaoxi seems to notice something. He comments that the watch Hanlai was wearing is from Panji's father's collection. He remembers visiting their house last time. Her dad had taken him on a tour and showed him the famous Rolex. At the time, he mentioned it was a gift for his future son-in-law. The friends joke that he's so obsessed with Panji he remembers such details. Wang then advises them to stop messing with Hanlai, but they insist, saying it's just a stupid watch. One of them says he's not afraid of that bastard. Wang then tells them Hanlai rents the presidential suite at the Marriott Hotel every day. The fools look at each other, wondering if that's possible. One of them stands up, saying it's a lie, it's impossible for a high schooler to have that much money. He's sure Hanlai has an average background, so there's no way that could happen. Liu Ying says it's unlikely Wang is being fooled, so it's probably true. Wang replies that he's talked to Hanlai and at any moment could ask about the suite and visit it. If they catch him at the wrong moment, he'd be lying and exposed. At 10 or 11 in the morning, the boy wakes up to his phone ringing. It was a message from Pangi saying the $2 million had already been transferred and she asked if he'd received it. He got up, surprised to find the money in his account even before he woke up. She was much more efficient than he had imagined. At the hotel reception, a man introduces himself as Bao Hua, the vice president of the hotel, and thanks Hanlai for supporting them. Hanlai cuts straight to the point, asking how much it would cost to rent the presidential suite long-term. They move to another room where a woman serves tea, saying to call her if they need anything. Bao Hua offers tea to Hanlai, but he stays silent. Hanlai knows that because of his young age, he needs to act more arrogant. Otherwise, no one will take him seriously. He tells Bao Hua to name the final price immediately. The man explains that the price would vary depending on the duration of the lease. Hanlai reveals that he wants to rent the suite for 2 or 3 years, the time they'll be in college. Bao Hu becomes excited, thinking this young man is much more generous than expected. He says that if Hanlai pays up front, he could get up to a 40% discount. But Hanlai pushes back, asking if the man thinks he's a fool. He states he'll pay it most annually, and besides, he knows the suite is only occupied 30% of the time. Considering the monthly discount is 20%, the 40% annual discount seems too low. Embarrassed, Bao Hua claims Hanlai's information is incorrect, stating the suite was occupied for 175 nights last year. Hanlai counters, saying most of those nights were VIP card holders getting upgrades when the suite was empty. Bao Hua wonders how this damned kid knows so much about how the hotel operates. After some negotiating, Han Lai offers to pay 30% of the total cost to rent the suite for the entire year. Bao Hua, looking defeated, says it's impossible. Even with his authority, he can't do that. Han Lai replies that in that case, he'll go to the hotel across the street. Bao Hua starts sweating and suggests they discuss further. Eventually, the card is swiped. Our boy is set to pay $16,000 per day. Annually, it would cost $5.76 million. However, with his special card covering 80% of the cost, he only spends $1.15 million. Additionally, he receives a lifetime VIP card from the hotel. Now, everywhere he goes, he's pampered with 24-hour VIP treatment. The card also grants him access to various exclusive spots around the city. He then receives a call from Brother Wang, who apologizes awkwardly for everything that happened the day before. Wang suggests they meet up if Han Lai has time. Han Lai casually replies that he's at the Marriott Hotel and that they can decide on a time to come over. Liu Ying asks if it's confirmed, and Wang says yes. The meeting would be at the Marriott, and soon someone would pick them up. They're impressed it was that easy. Wang then calls Xiao Yu, a guy with glasses, saying Han Lai specifically requested him. Later at the hotel, Han Lai informs a staff member that he's invited some friends. He orders the best food and everything available. The only downside is that he'll have to pay out of pocket. Luckily, this earns him points on his system. Minutes later, his university friends arrive, all smiling. As he greets them, he notices everyone is excited to see his home. Even someone named Chen Lu, Fang's girlfriend, though Han Lai doesn't know who Fang is, has come along. Two more lively and attractive girls join, making it a full-on party. The one with purple hair is Zhao Shengman, who's someone's girlfriend. The one with green hair is Wang Qiang, who once hit on Han Lai. Han Lai extends his hand and welcomes everyone, telling them to feel at home. The butlers serve drinks, and Wang Qiang is in awe of the legendary presidential suite. A staff member brings out desserts, saying Han Lai ordered them especially for the girls. Wang Qiang enthusiastically stands up, calling Han Lai very considerate. With a mischievous smile, he says they're all classmates, so of course he'll treat everyone well. Wang hugs him, saying that's why he likes Han Lai. He always pays attention to the details. Someone in the room comments that the most admirable people are those who can solve problems easily. Zhao Shengman agrees, saying no girl would reject someone as kind and thoughtful as Han Lai. If she didn't already have a boyfriend, she'd be in love with Master Han. Han Lai feels embarrassed as she says this in front of everyone. Meanwhile, Chen Lu wants to explore while the others chat. Han Lai tells her it's fine and to feel free to look around. She and another girl leave while the rest stay behind. Wang takes the opportunity to apologize again to Han Lai for everything that happened. One of them asks how Han Lai knew all of that would happen. Han Lai replies it was all a coincidence. He was just doing some fitness training. Xiao Yu, deep in thought, figures their luck just ran out. Liu Ying adds that the conflicts still cause problems for everyone. Han Lai asks what happened. Xiao Yu reveals that the school announced all lights would be turned off after 11 p.m. Han Lai keeps playing video games and chatting, but now staying at the college isn't an option anymore. His expression changes as he asks what this has to do with him. Han Lai has no intention of getting closer to that damned Xiao Yu. He knows the guy is a backstabber who could betray him at any moment. Xiao Yu awkwardly says he knows Han Lai is also a victim in all of this. But Han Lai sits calmly on the sofa, thinking that Xiao Yu must also be behind all of it. He sends a message to Panji, asking if she can help him set up a little show for something specific. She agrees, and Han Lai stands up, saying he just received a message. He claims the lights out situation might be related to him and that he'll try to solve it. Wang, left looking dumbfounded, yells for Xiao Yu as soon as Han Lai leaves. He asks why Xiao Yu suddenly started accusing Han Lai, saying it was all his fault. Xiao Yu, looking as clueless as ever, says he spoke without thinking. The truth is he can't control himself when he's around that damn Han Lai. Suddenly, a balloon is tossed in front of them and someone asks why everyone is so serious. It's Wang Qiang mentioning that they finished their tour. Zhao Sheng says she saw a massive swimming pool on the lower floor, but it's too cold to swim. Someone chimes in, saying it's heated, and asks if they'd like to go swimming. Of course, it's Han Lai, who adds that he can even arrange swimsuits for everyone. Han Lai then calls Xiao Yu over and apologizes. He explains that Panji found out about the incident and told her father, who spoke with someone from the school. That's why they're now turning off the lights. He just finds it odd that no names were mentioned. Liu Ying questions if Han Lai is implying someone deliberately reported everyone. Wang says it's possible since some people don't like the nighttime chaos. The girls look confused, not understanding what they're talking about. Xiao Ying comments that the dormitory nights will now be much more monitored. He's worried because his friends have other places to go, but he only had the dorm, meaning he'll now be alone. Without his school friends, he has no one left. Plus, he used to sell beer and other things, earning almost 80,000 before graduation. Xiao Yu starts talking about discussing things with the school, but Han Lai interrupts, calling everyone together. He suggests saving such discussions for later, as they should enjoy the moment. Liu Ying agrees, and Han Lai takes responsibility, saying it's his fault, so they shouldn't worry. He invites the girls and says he'll take everyone to the pool. At the pool, Wang is already happy, saying he came to apologize but is now having fun. Han-Lai reassures him, saying it's fine, they're brothers. As long as everyone's happy, he's happy too, especially since the place is so big and he often feels lonely. Wang agrees, saying that even with all the services, sometimes it's a bit sad having no one around. Just then, Wang Tang-King appears, stealing the show. Of course, she comes in confidently, asking Han-Lai what he thinks of her swimsuit. She's impressed, noting it seems to be from Mark and must have cost a lot. He simply replies that she looks good and doesn't need to be so polite with him. She then asks if he knows how to swim, and Han-Lai says he hasn't swum in a long time. Meanwhile, he imagines wanting to see the 3 other girls in swimsuits. Zhao Sheng interrupts, asking why he looks so distracted. She wants to know if she looks good in her swimsuit since she goes to the gym every day. Every time she invited her boyfriend to swim, he preferred hanging out with his friends. Now she's finally able to have fun with Liu Ying, though it looks like she might make her boyfriend jealous. But Han-Lai, ever the Sigma, says she should remind her boyfriend more often, and he might spend more time with her. She insists she's already complained plenty, but he just says she nags too much. Ken Lu then grabs Zhao Sheng from behind, saying it's time for her to get in the water. She drags Zhao Sheng and takes her away. Wang Tang-King tells Han-Lai that Zhao Sheng is in an arranged marriage. Apparently, her parents paired her with her boyfriend since they were kids. Han-Lai thanks her for letting him know. She then asks how things are going between him and Panji. He pauses for a second and says their situation is a bit complicated. She stares at him briefly, then turns away, saying she was just curious. Suddenly, Xiao Yu appears and says he needs to discuss something with Wang Tang-King about the student council. He asks to speak with her alone for a moment. She gets up and says goodbye to Han-Lai, promising to return shortly. Han-Lai notices something strange and wonders if something is going on between them. They walk off toward the storage room. She stops and asks what's so urgent that he needed to speak with her alone. Out of nowhere, Xiao Yu grabs her arm and pushes her against the wall. She asks why he's acting crazy and says she hasn't done anything to provoke him. Desperate, he asks if she also likes Han-Lai. She replies that she already rejected Xiao Yu before and tells him to move on. She starts struggling to free herself, saying it doesn't matter to her if Xiao Yu has feelings for Han-Lai. She demands he let go, pointing out that she's never disrespected him. But instead, Xiao Yu tightens his grip and slams her against the wall again. She tells him to stop, reminding him there are lots of people around, and if anyone sees this, he'll embarrass himself. Han-Lai then appears, apologizing and asking if he's interrupting something. He says the food is ready, and everyone is waiting upstairs. Wang Tang immediately breaks free, thanks him for showing up, and says she's excited to eat. Han-Lai casually replies that it's good to know he wasn't interrupting anything. However, Xiao Yu knows that Bastard did it on purpose. Ma'am, you were on the verge of going to jail, and he just saved you from it. Later, they knock on Huang's door, and he opens it, thanking them for finally arriving. Huang asks where Xiao Yu is, and Wang Tang says he had something to take care of and seems to have left. Han-Lai tells him not to worry, they'll treat him to dinner another time. Huang agrees but mentions the student council seems to be a mess lately. He urges everyone to start eating since the food is ready. The table is set with a luxurious feast, crab, bamboo dumplings, and various other dishes. Despite the spread, Han-Lai looks indifferent, as if he's already tired of it all. He picks up the drink menu, dismisses beer and liquor, and orders some expensive wine instead. He justifies it by saying it's essential to spend big to keep control over everyone. When the wine is served, the system dings and he unlocks a new ability related to wine. Now his resistance to getting drunk is higher, and he earns double experience whenever he spends money on wine. A notification also mentions that system traits can be merged, leaving him slightly confused about this new feature. Finally, the wine arrives, costing 5,000 per bottle. Wang Tang takes a sip and immediately praises it, saying the flavors are rich and exquisite. She thanks him, saying she never would have tasted something so amazing without him. Everyone at the table starts complimenting him, calling him generous. Liu Ying, who seems knowledgeable about wine, explains there are 3 harvests a year. Clearly an expert. Han-Lai just says he picked the most expensive one without knowing how it was made. Wang jokes that Han-Lai is being too extravagant. They were fine with something simple. But Han-Lai insists they're honored guests and he feels guilty if he didn't provide the best. Everyone raises their glasses and Wang proposes a toast to their dear Han-Lai. Time passes and people begin leaving, waving goodbye. For a moment, it seemed like Han-Lai and Wang Tang might connect, but here comes Wang wanting to talk again. Han-Lai asks what it's about and Wang mentions an issue with Kong. He says he doesn't want the tension between them to last since they're all classmates. Han-Lai bluntly replies that he doesn't care. Feeling awkward, Wang brings up that Kong is skilled in martial arts and suggests settling things with a fight. Han-Lai shrugs, saying they can set a date for the match. Wang tries to warn him it's a bad idea, but Han-Lai reassures him that fighting is the only way to handle someone like Kong. Confident, Han-Lai declares it's settled and leaves. But Wang remains uneasy, certain Han-Lai will get beaten. Meanwhile, Panji is sitting quietly at a cafe. Someone arrives asking why she called them out of nowhere. It's Han-Lai smiling brightly, and she asks why he looks so happy. He replies that it's because he has a fantastic sponsor, and she says he's good at sweet talking. As he sits, she asks if his mom is available since some friends of hers from the capital are visiting. Apparently, one of them is interested in the stock market but isn't very skilled. Her father has been talking about Han-Lai to this group, and they want to meet him. While it might not be as profitable as working with her father, it could help him expand his network. Han-Lai agrees, thinking that since he doesn't have much accumulated wealth, earning money using others' funds is the best option. She tells him the meeting will be at 12:30 p.m., and he thanks her, saying he'll do his best. Standing up, he says he needs to leave to get some rest. But she mentions she has information about Uncle Do, the big-shot negotiator, for tomorrow. He asks why she doesn't just tell him, and she replies that there's a price for unlocking it. He looks confused until she says he'll need to give her a kiss. A kiss and a photo she can post, and she'll share the info. The next scene cuts to them in a changing room, standing close. She pushes him away, saying one kiss was enough. He wipes his mouth, saying she was the one who asked for it in the first place. She looks flustered, saying she asked, but not like that. Meanwhile, Han-Lai, now blushing, insists on getting the information. She shouts, calling him a scoundrel she hates, storming off and saying she shouldn't have invited him there. He pleads for her to share the information and asks what she meant earlier. Instead of answering directly, she says he urgently needs a proper suit, matching shoes, and some accessories. She clarifies that she's not trying to humiliate him, but explains there are situations where he needs to dress appropriately. Then she reveals what she's been hiding. She explains that in this city, the government and politicians have far more control than most companies. That's why it's more important to associate with political families than wealthy ones. She hands him a blue gem, saying it suits him perfectly. The scene shifts to a private club. Her father calls out to Han-Lai, smiling widely, and introduces him to Mr. Do. And here we go again. Han-Lai, the charmer of old men. Mr. Do embraces him, saying they need to chat and drink together. Pan-Yi's father calls her over, asking her to arrange drinks and some fine wine. She reluctantly agrees, realizing she's being sidelined. They bring out a rare wine from 1984 with only a few bottles in existence, clearly worth a fortune. Han-Lai stands up, announcing that as a sign of respect, he'll drink it all in one go. Pan-Yi looks worried that he might get drunk. Her father, however, is pleased, knowing that the best way to get to know someone is when they're drunk, as it reveals their true nature. He raises his own glass, declaring he'll drink his in one go as well, slamming it on the table afterward. Mr. Do compliments Han-Lai, asking if he drinks often since he seems to have great tolerance. Han-Lai modestly replies that he rarely drinks. Do laughs, saying it's impossible for someone with such tolerance to be inexperienced. He fills Han-Lai's glass again, toasting for good luck. Thanks to the system, Han-Lai doesn't get drunk, so he plays along. They continue drinking, chatting, and having a great time while Pan-Yi watches them lose their minds. A few minutes later, Do slams his glass on the table, asking why he can't make more money. He explains that he's cautious, neither greedy nor reckless, yet the opportunity never seems to come. Han-Lai reassures him, saying people who follow steady strategies tend to profit gradually and might suddenly hit the jackpot. Maybe your time is coming, he says. Do thanks him for the encouragement, but insists it's unlikely. Even during the last market boom, he didn't make anything. He adds that amateurs like him can't compete with seasoned traders. Han-Lai counters, saying that even top traders eventually lose. Pan-Yi's father laughs while Do accuses Han-Lai of being full of tricks. He says Han-Lai claimed not to drink much but was clearly faking it. Dao then admits he likes Han-Lai and offers him a chance to manage an account. The terms would be the same as his arrangement with Mr. Pan, with no need to worry about short-term losses. However, the amount is modest, just 10 million, leaving Han-Lai momentarily stunned. Before he can respond, Do excuses himself, saying he needs the restroom. Pan-Yi's father volunteers to guide him, saying he doesn't want him tripping over and breaking anything, and promises to return shortly. Once they leave, Pan-Yi remarks that they always use the same tricks. Han-Lai asks if she means the drinking, and she nods. She explains her father always does this, getting people drunk to reveal their true nature. Han-Lai comments that he seems to have passed the test since Do is willing to hand over the account. She laughs, saying it's more likely they got embarrassed about not being able to outdrink him. Their plan was probably to go vomit in the restroom and come back to drink more, so he should be careful. Han-Lai considers pretending to be drunk to avoid an endless drinking session. A little later, they return. Do declares it's time to drink again, but both are startled. Han-Lai is asleep on Pan-Yi's lap. She claims he drank too much and dozed off as soon as they left. Her father chuckles, saying the boy got too confident and should have taken it easy. He asks Pan-Yi to take care of him, but she knows he's faking it and wonders why she's stuck dealing with him. Her father orders her to get him out of there since he has things to discuss with Do. She drags the passed out Han-Lai out, muttering for him to hurry up and walk. They step out of the taxi near the school and she tells him to stop pretending they walked far enough. She threatens to expose his act if he keeps it up. When she asks how he learned not to get drunk, he responds in Hawaii. She laughs, accusing him of watching too many cartoons. Someone calls out from behind, "Brother Lai." It's been a while, but here comes the familiar trio. Yun Yun immediately asks what happened to him, seeing Pangi carrying him. Pangi explains he attended a social event with her and ended up drinking too much. She mentions she's planning to buy a few things and asks if Ting Ting wants to join. But Ting Ting just smirks, saying she has no interest in seeing how people parade their dogs around. Both Han Lai and Pangi are shocked. Han Lai says, did she just call Pangi a dog? Pangi calmly responds, obviously that insult was directed at you. Han Lai looks devastated, realizing Ting Ting hasn't spoken to him in 3 days and still hasn't given up her grudge. Maybe it wasn't a good idea for him to keep being cold toward Ting Ting. Han Lai needed to find an opportunity to communicate with her. Suddenly, he stood up and Pangi noticed he'd stopped pretending to be drunk. He told her she was being petty, making him rely on her so much. She started arguing, but he just said they should hurry up and go shopping. The scene shifts to Kong, who's asking if someone is serious. When he realizes they are, he accepts. Zhao Tzu and Xiao Yu ask what's going on. Trembling with excitement, Kong declares it's time for revenge. That pretty boy had dared to challenge him to a fight. Finally, he was going to teach him a lesson. But wait, why is he looking at a knife? This was supposed to be boxing. Wang sends a message to Han Lai letting him know Kong accepted the challenge. Han Lai, meanwhile, is loaded with Gucci bags as Pangi drags him to the next store. Before entering, he spots a gold chain with green accents and seems intrigued. Inside, a saleswoman compliments Pangi and says she has the perfect necklace for her. However, Pangi's attention is drawn elsewhere, to a bracelet on display. It's gold adorned with custom jade pieces, the very one Han Lai had been eyeing. The saleswoman explains that it's already reserved and the last of its kind in the store. There will be a similar piece at an upcoming auction if she wants to try buying it there. Pangi looks disappointed and asks for a sapphire necklace instead. Han Lai jokes that he always thought rich people had their jewelry delivered to their homes. Pangi explains that shopping in person is about the fun of finding surprises. Only a rich person's idea of fun, Han Lai thinks to himself. He remarks that she seems distracted and asks if she's talking to a girl. Han Lai replies that he's talking to brother Wang. Kong wants a fight, and Han Lai has decided to beat him up. Pangi looks alarmed, asking if he's serious about fighting. Han Lai casually responds that it's not a fight, just trading between friends. He grabs the bags and walks off, telling her not to worry since he's not ordinary. At the gym, Kong is pounding on a punching bag, eager for Han Lai to arrive. Jiaoxi and Xiao Yu linger nervously in the corner, having been roped into this fight but clearly afraid. Xiao Yu tries to reassure them, saying it'll be 3 against 1. They can't lose. But Jiaoxi doubts Han Lai would agree to fight alone unless he had a plan. Wang stays neutral, reminding them it was Han Lai's idea, but warns them not to cause too much trouble. Suddenly, someone asks if everyone has arrived. It's Han Lai carrying Pangi's shopping bags and cheerfully suggesting they all grab dinner afterward. The group is stunned that he dared to bring his girlfriend to the fight. Kong becomes furious, shouting that Han Lai was insane to show up with a woman. He shoves the others aside, warning Han Lai he'll leave the gym with missing teeth. Han Lai calmly sets the bags on the ground and apologizes. Unfortunately, his sugar mommy was present, so he couldn't let her see him lose. He walks toward the group as Pangi shouts for him to come back, but he just turns, reminding her to keep recording and get the best moments. Han Lai reflects that Kong Yais is one of the few people he barely remembers from his past life. Judging by the current situation, he's sure Kong is an inexperienced kid who's never been properly beaten. Kong tosses a pair of protective gloves at Han Lai, telling him to use them or risk dying. Han Lai laughs, telling Jiaoxi not to worry about him. Xiao Yu, trying to sound tough, says they won't gang up on him, but if Han Lai wins, he'll get 1 million as compensation. If he loses, however, he must never approach Pangi again. Pangi, sitting nearby, demands to know why she's part of their ridiculous bet. Han Lai replies that even if he tried to stay away, she'd still come to him. But if they want to bet money, he's fine with it. Xiao Yu offers 500,000, and Kong raises the stakes by adding another 1,000,000. Han Lai is surprised, thinking he didn't expect this fight to be so profitable. He accepts but asks them to wait a moment. He pulls out some contracts, telling them to read carefully because they include payment deadlines. The three are baffled as to when he prepared these. Kong decides to sign immediately, figuring it's easier to be up Han Lai than worry about paperwork. Han Lai hands the bags to Pangi, saying he'll finish shopping with her later. Turning to the trio, he asks why they don't all attack at once. Everyone starts putting on their gear. Kong warns Han Lai to get ready since he asked for this. He lunges with a punch, claiming Han Lai will learn a valuable lesson today. But Han Lai easily dodges the first blow, glances to the side, grabs Kong's arm, and something cracks. Kong collapses, clutching his wrist in agony, while Han Lai calmly explains he just dislocated it. It's nothing serious. Xiao Yu calls Han Lai a bastard, only to take a direct punch to the nose, sending blood flying everywhere. With 70 system strength, it's no challenge. Jiaoxi, trembling in the corner, regrets ever trusting Kong's plans. Meanwhile, Pangi is recording everything, amazed at how brutal this dog is in fights. But then something catches her attention. Pangi notices Kong reaching for a knife and quickly takes note of the situation. Kong suddenly stands up, shouting, asking if Han Lai really thinks they won't finish him off. Pangi screams at Han Lai to be careful. but the cut has already been made and blood is dripping. Pang-yi starts crying in panic, watching the drops hit the ground. It seems Han-lai caught the blade with his hand. Kong looks shocked, while Han-lai coldly tells him he's truly a dishonorable bastard. Wang steps in, demanding to know what Kong thinks he's doing. Kong, unable to justify himself, drops the knife. Wang pulls him aside, asking if he's lost his mind and if he was really trying to kill Han-lai. Kong stammers, saying that wasn't his intention. Meanwhile, Pang-yi rushes to Han-lai, asking how his hand is. The cut is deep and she insists they need to go to the hospital or call the police immediately. Xiaoyu panics at the mention of the police, realizing Kong could end up in jail if this gets out. Pang-yi tells Xiaoyu to step aside because Han-lai is bleeding heavily. She shows the video and points out that Kong clearly attacked from behind with intent to harm. If Han-lai hadn't turned around, he could have been killed, she says. Han-lai tries to downplay the situation, but Kong claims his broken wrist and Han-lai's injury make them even. Han-lai coldly reminds him that the contract never mentioned weapons. He sarcastically asks if everyone else brought knives too. Xiaoyu nervously denies being involved. Han-lai says he's heading to the hospital but comments that he took down one of them in 2 seconds, and the others didn't even try to fight. He tells them to message him if they want a rematch, but the group quickly declines, admitting defeat. At the hospital, the doctor examines Han-lai's hand and informs him the cut is deep and will require stitches. Pang-yi asks if this will interfere with his daily life. The doctor replies that during recovery, he won't be able to lift anything heavy. Han-lai, looking at his bandaged hand, realizes he might need to use the system to spend points and speed up the healing process. But Pang-yi insists they proceed with the stitches, pulling him by the arm and saying the sooner he heals, the better. While this is happening, Ting-Ting and Yun-Yun are in the classroom, overhearing rumors that Han-lai was involved in a fight and ended up in the hospital. People are saying Kong stabbed him. Ting-Ting, looking worried, stands up and asks if it's true. She wants to know where the information came from and where Han-lai is now. Yun-Yun mentions that Kong has always liked Ting-Ting and suggests this might have happened because of her connection to Han-lai. Ting-Ting dismisses the idea, saying not everything's about romance. But she's still concerned and mutters, "Important thing is to know if that dog is okay." She tries to message him, asking if he's in the hospital and if the injury is serious. However, she remembers they block each other and has no way of contacting him. Fetty Fee pipes up, saying that everyone saw Pang-yi go with Han-lai to the hospital, along with Mr. Yang and some other rich kids. Ting-Ting wonders why so much chaos has happened in the short time she distanced herself from him. Yun-Yun clasps her hands together and pleads for them to go to the hospital to check on him. Ting-Ting reluctantly agrees, saying she'll ask first. Since she can't contact Han-lai directly, she decides to call Pang-yi. When Pang-yi picks up, Ting-Ting immediately asks which hospital they're at and says she's coming to visit. Surprised, Pang-yi asks how Ting-Ting even knows they're at the hospital. Ting-Ting explains that everyone at school knows because it was posted on the forums. But the most important thing is finding out if Han-lai is okay. Pang-yi reassures her that he's fine while silently wondering how the school's rumors about Han-lai being beaten and stabbed got so out of hand. Ting-Ting insists on getting the hospital's address, saying she wants to visit. Pang-yi, realizing the rumors are spreading wildly, checks the forums and sees absurd claims that the winner of the trading competition was hospitalized after being stabbed in a fight over a woman. Her phone rings, it's her father. He demands to know what happened to Han-lai. The last he heard, they were out shopping, so how did this turn into a fight? Pang-yi tries to downplay the situation, but her father cuts her off, telling her to send the hospital's address immediately because he's coming to visit. A while later, the doctor finishes stitching Han-lai's hand but warns it will take 2 months to heal and will leave a scar. Looking at his fully bandaged hand, Han-lai realizes this injury will disrupt his life more than he anticipated and decides he'll likely need to spend a significant amount of system points for recovery. He thanks the doctor and steps outside. The moment he does, he hears someone running toward him. It's Yun-Yun calling out, "Brother Lai." She hugs him tightly, asking if he's really that hurt. Ting-Ting stands nearby and Pang-yi watches silently. Han-lai awkwardly points to his injured arm, saying, "That's exactly where you hugged me." He turns to Ting-Ting, asking why she's there. Embarrassed, she stumbles through an explanation, but she quickly remembers she hasn't spoken to him in a while and feels out of place. She mutters that since he's in her class and she's the class monitor, she thought it was her responsibility to check on him. One of the nurses interrupts the group, asking them to lower their voices because they are disturbing other patients. Han-lai laughs and tells the nurse not to stress too much. He looks at Ting-Ting and comments that it's true they haven't spoken in a while, thanking her for her concern. She tries to say she wasn't that worried, but Pang-yi suddenly chimes in. She says they're all being too dramatic and reminds them she's standing right there. Pang-yi pulls Han-lai by the arm and tells him not to worry because she's taking care of her boyfriend. Yun-Yun feels a bit awkward and says that Brother Lai is loved by everyone in their class. Pang-yi replies that she understands, but the problem is that this situation will cause chaos at school. Yun-Yun agrees and they continue chatting. Meanwhile, Haksai Looting is wondering why the atmosphere feels so tense. Pang-yi calls out to Ting-Ting, approaching her and saying they haven't been talking much lately. She then comments that Ting-Ting's admirer is truly insane. The last time, some people tried to beat up Han Lai in the middle of the night. And now this other admirer of hers challenged Han Lai to a fight and suddenly pulled out a knife. It was a close call as the guy aimed straight for Han Lai's back. Poor Xiaoluding, completely manipulated, starts wondering if Kong had really tried to attack Han Lai before. She had no idea this had already happened and was even more surprised that things had escalated so much. What's stranger is that Yun Yun seemed very concerned, so maybe she already knew about all of this. It seemed like Xiaoluding was the only one left in the dark. At that moment, Panji's father shows up. He rushes in, asking what happened and if his daughter is okay or scared. He also asks about Han Lai, wanting to know if his injuries will interfere with his daily life. Han Lai reassures him that everything is fine and that the doctor said he'll be 100% in a month. The father then turns to Xiaoluding and Yun Yun, asking if they're okay and whether they were involved in all this mess. Embarrassed, they reply that they weren't involved and only came because they were worried about him. Panji's father nods and pulls Yun Yun along, saying that if Han Lai is fine, they should leave. Yun Yun hesitates, asking if they're really leaving just like that. Overflowing with energy, she insists they came all this way and should stay longer, so Han Lai doesn't think they don't care. But suddenly, Xiaoluding pushes her against the wall. She tells Yun Yun that the man who just arrived is Panji's father. Although she doesn't know his exact identity, it's clear he's an important person. She warns Yun Yun that while she may want to cling to Han Lai, this isn't the right time to do so. She explains that Han Lai and Panji's relationship has become official. Yun Yun asks if that means she's supposed to step aside and just settle for Han Lai's leftovers. Xiaoluding realizes her friend is hopeless. She tells Yun Yun to at least avoid being too close to Han Lai when Panji's father is around. Yun Yun, not deterred, says she can't help it, it's a habit. Xiaoluding sighs and tells her to leave for now, and when Han Lai is back in class, she can show him all the attention she wants. Despite this, Xiaoluding is angry at both Panji and her friend. Then Yun Yun notices her phone ringing. It's someone named Yuxu Qin calling. She wonders if he's calling to ask for a